In this video, I want to talk about the 5 worst stock picking habits you should avoid. Absolutely. If you want to be a great investor, definitely avoid these ones. This is very easy. In this video, you will have actionable tips that you can use for your own portfolio so you can become a better investor. If this is your first video from this channel, welcome. My name is Christophe Nour. I've been investing in the stock market for almost a decade now, and I have achieved a performance of 25% investing in great stocks. And I made these mistakes in the past, and I hope you can learn a lot from this video. So let's just start from the beginning. You have a few habits in the stock market, and one of the key habits I see with a lot of people is to chase the headlines, to chase the hype. If you hear about something on the news, it's already too late. As you say, you buy the rumor, sell the news. And the problem a lot of people have in 2025 is too much information. You have a lot of YouTube videos, you have a lot of Twitter threads, Twitter posts, you have a lot of notifications on your phone, you have a lot of websites, and you can be trapped by this atmosphere of too much information. And because you are trapped, you're not investing rationally, you're just reacting to what's happening in the headlines. The real money is made before the crowd shows up. So maybe I want to show you something. Maybe you are reliant on too many information and you believe that all these headlines is good for you because you are becoming smarter. For example, I see a lot of people saying, yeah, you have a few headlines, economists making forecasts about the world, economists making forecasts about the S&P 500 or interest rates decision, and interest rate decision will impact the stock market, so it will go up or down. And I have this beautiful article to show you it's completely wrong. By the way, if you want to outperform the market with a proven investing strategy, I've created a free guide that shows you how to do it step by step. Just comment guide below and I'll send you the link to access it on demand. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit here so you see better. Disregard short-term forecast and prediction from John Kenneth Gelbart. And sorry for the pronunciation. What this article is saying that since the 80s, economists have made a lot of forecasts when it comes to interest rate. So every year, every couple of years, they are asked if the interest rates will go up or will go down. We are talking about the best economists on the planet. People very smart with a lot of IQ that are very intelligent when it comes to understanding the world. And the shocking fact is that these big, wonderful economists are wrong 63% of the time. Look at this. Overall, the economists' forecasts were wrong in 40 out of the 63 time periods, so 60% of the time. Do not waste time and energy focusing on variables that are unknowable and uncontrollable over the short term, like the direction of interest rates or the level of the stock market. Instead, focus your energy on things that you can control, like creating a properly diversified portfolio, determining your true time horizon, and setting realistic return expectations. So, since this period is ending in 2013. So this article, they have made some work for 40 years. Yeah, and this is true even today in 2025. Now with a lot of tariffs, with a lot of uncertainty, you can maybe turn on the TV, go on Twitter and find some headlines, find some information with very smart guys with a suit that will tell you that this will have this impact or this and this and this, and the S&P 500 will go up or down because of this and this. Most of the time, all the forecasts are wrong. Most of the time, it's impossible to predict what the stock market will do in the short term. So why bother? Why do you want to spend any minute thinking about this? Economists, their job is to make forecasts. Their job is to think about the macro data, macro picture about the world, interest rates, inflation, GDP. And these very intelligent guys can't make a great forecast. It's not even 50%. It's not even you have better chances of flipping a coin than forecasting the economy. I mean, 60% of the time being wrong is completely horrible. So please don't listen to any headlines. Please don't listen to any economists. There is a quote from Warren Buffett saying that if economists were always so right about the forecast and the economy, etc., why aren't they all billionaires? There is a quote out there. You can check it online. And yeah, you have a lot of people with high IQ, very smart, very intelligent. They read a lot. They are very smart, but they are no billionaires. And if you want the real quote, I think Warren Buffett is saying there is not one economist in the Forbes 400 list, like the wealthiest people on the world. So there is not one real billionaire that is an economist. Please don't listen to this. You will feel very smart if you listen to what they have to say, but your goal is to make money. So please avoid the hype, avoid the headlines, avoid thinking about the short term. That was for the first point, and it is really important. Second point is ignoring the balance sheet. So when we talk about stock picking, we want to invest in companies. We want to invest in great companies that will compound our wealth in the future. So the balance sheet is something that is not often talked about actually on YouTube. People talk a lot about the growth, about the cash flows, about the buybacks, but balance sheet is very important because when the tide turns and when we enter a bear market or a recession, the balance sheet is maybe the most important thing. And a lot of big investors, including Joel Greenblatt or Bruce Greenwald, they talk about the balance sheet a lot, because you want to invest in companies that will survive when you have a hard time in the future years. A great story won't save a business drowning in debt. You have great businesses that have a lot of debt, and when we are hit by a recession, they go bankrupt. I mean, the only way to go bust, to go bankrupt, is to have a lot of debt and not being able to pay off your debt if you are hit by a recession or if you have many problems. So another recommendation for you, avoid companies with a lot of debt. How can you check if a company has a lot of debt or not? You compare the short-term plus long-term debt the company has in the balance sheet, also called liabilities or short-term borrowings, long-term borrowings. You have different names on the balance sheet. And you compare this with the amount of cash they have, cash and cash equivalents. And you compare this with the free cash flow they produce. And normally, if you can pay up your debt in 2 or 3 years or less, that's great. That means if you are hit by a recession, you can repay your debt quite easily. Now, there are some companies, I won't mention names, but you have some companies that have a big amount of debt and very, very little free cash flows at the end of the year. So it will take more than 10 years to repay the debt. That is an absolute red flag. And I see this pattern a lot for new investors. So they like the story, they like the growth of a company, but this company is not profitable and they are taking a lot of debt to sustain this growth in revenue. This is unsustainable, and most of the time, these companies that are not profitable will struggle to make a profit. So you increase your chance of picking a bad stock that will go bankrupt. Next mistake, next a bad financial habit is to buy without valuation anchor. Yeah, we will talk about valuation. Falling in love with a stock without knowing its real worth is the fastest way to lose money. Absolutely. Absolutely. Valuation matter. This is really, really important. If you look at the best investors in the world, they always talk about valuation. You can buy a beautiful business, but if you buy at too high a price, it will be a bad, it will get you a bad result. And the perfect example of this is Microsoft. That was a monopoly leader in 2000, growing nicely, profitable, great CEO, founder-led, beautiful Microsoft. But in 2000, it had a PE ratio of 70. I mean, the PE ratio is 70 is completely ludicrous at this point. But still, people were buying it, saying it will change the world. Microsoft is great. PE ratio of 70 is okay because it's profitable. You know what? No, nothing happened. And all the people that invested in 2000, they all lost money for 15 years. Zero results, negative results for 15 years. That's a lot. And you definitely don't want this situation of losing money for 15 years. So yeah, I have made plenty of videos about valuation. For my personal portfolio, the way I look at valuation is very simple. I have strict thresholds. Like I don't buy with a PE ratio above 40 or a price to free cash flow above 40. That's the maximum I have in my portfolio. And I mean, depending on your risk tolerance, depending on your time horizon, you can play around with these thresholds and only invest in companies that you think are cheap. You think are fairly priced or cheap, but definitely you want to avoid companies that are extremely expensive, like Microsoft in 2000. Okay, next one. Over-diversifying into too many positions. Yeah, only owning 50 stocks you don't understand is not diversification. It's disguised in your ignorance. You have a quote from Warren Buffett again saying that diversification is a sign of ignorance, because if you own too many stocks, like 50 stocks or 100 stocks, you don't really know them. And to the contrary, to the opposite scenario, if you have a stock portfolio with 6 stocks, I'm sure you know them very well. Like it could be simple investments, Amazon, Meta Platforms, Chipotle, Nike. If you only have 6 stocks to monitor and follow, you will follow them much more closely. And this is also what I preach on this YouTube channel. I'm not a fan at all about over diversification. I think owning more than 20, more than 30 stocks is detrimental to the performance. I prefer to just concentrate my portfolio on my key ideas, and that is how I made most of my money. So definitely owning too many stocks is what we call diversification. Diversification, a term coined by Peter Lynch. So too many stocks, you don't really understand what you own. If one has a mistake, you follow it for too far away, too much of a distance, and you are not really an expert about the stocks you own. So definitely reduce number of positions. That is a great tip that is applicable. You can do it today if you want. If you want to trim some positions, I'm not saying to do it today now, but if you think the price is right, check it. And if you have a portfolio with 50 names, maybe what you can do is check the valuations for each company. And for the stocks that are too pricey, too overvalued, maybe it's a good time to sell them. Maybe if you are not sure about the position, it's a good time to trim. And another tip for you, only check the companies that are inside your circle of competence. So again, if you have a portfolio of 50 stocks, ask yourself, do I really understand the business model? Do I really understand how they make money? I'm really comfortable owning this stock for 5 years. If not, maybe this is a sign for you to sell the position, to reduce the number of positions you have in your portfolio. Because most of the time, you outperform the market if you have a concentrated portfolio of great companies. So owning too many companies, too many stocks is a great way to underperform the market. Okay, now 5, reacting emotionally to price fluctuations. Price is noisy, fundamentals are quiet. Master your emotions or the market will master you. Yes, the market is here to serve you. So you don't react positively or negatively based on the headlines. You focus on what really matters. There are great charts from JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, big banks talking about what matters in the long term. So they have different charts, and over 1 year, anything can matter and influence a stock price. PE ratio change, earnings growth, dividends, news. Now what matters over 5 years? The PE multiple, not much of an impact now. The dividends, okay, not much of an impact. Over 5 years, the earnings per share growth starts to become the main driver of the performance. And now about 10 years, what matters for 10 years? The large majority of the returns is guided by the earnings per share growth. Like more than 65% of the performance is driven by EPS growth. And now over 20 years, the majority, like 80% of the returns you will get if you invest in a stock is driven by the earnings per share growth. Another key advice is to only invest in companies that will increase their earnings per share for the next 10 years, 20 years. And if you know what you're doing, if you invest thinking about earnings per share, fundamentals over the long term, if you know what you're doing, you reduce the emotional impact you will have because you will not worry much about what happens in the short term. Headlines, trends, hype, it doesn't matter. If you are a real long-term investor, you only want earnings per share to go up in the long term. The rest is pure noise. So this is how you can outperform the market. Take advantage of the situation. Only focus on what really matters. Focus on the balance sheet, focus on valuation, focus on your key stocks, favorite stocks, and you increase your chance of outperforming. If you like this video and you want to go deeper, I've created a free guide called How to Outperform the Market with a proven investing strategy. Inside, I show you the exact method that helped me generate 25% per year, including how to build a framework you trust, how to find great stock ideas, and how to build a winning portfolio. It's the same process I use for my own portfolio, and it's 100% free to download. Comment guide below or click the link in the description to access your free investing guide. Just go down there, click the link, follow the instructions on the next page, and I will email you the guide 100% for free.